Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Man, I'm late, but you know why? Today was the culmination of our. Remember, I told you guys we had this Panamanian cultural weekend, starting with the celebrating not only the independence of Panama in November, but also we wanted to celebrate the veterans here in the United States, as several Latin American um, veterans fought for the United States in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the Kosovo, and just about everywhere. So I just raced back from the parade. Didn't even get a chance to tell all my good patriots goodbye. Actually, I told a whole lot of them goodbye out there in the field, but they were going to have a whole lot of big and great dinners, all kind of Panamanian food. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I love you. That's why I came here. But I'm gonna give you another excuse. I didn't want to go ahead and finish the job of eating all that food from back home, which I just simply ate too much of it on Saturday, ate too much of it on Sunday, ate too much of it on Monday. It's about time. Anyway, we're going to have a great show for you today. Of course, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but the subjects that we want to cover today is present. Anyway, welcome aboard from Substack, Muddy Bog, Sandra Blanchard, Lady Historian, Darlene, Dale, Marge, KJ, Angie Decadence. Love that name, Decadence. Sandra Blanchard from Sequim, Washington. Sandra B. from Sequim, Washington. Margaret Ryan in from West, from Eastern Washington. And of course, Jane B is with us as well. Or Vogels Vance. How do you say that? Vogels Vance. If I said it wrong, forgive me. If you spell it phonetically, I'll at least try. Welcome aboard. AVQ was the first one in on the other chat from Brooklyn, New York. Patrick Magner says meow from Houston, Texas. Patrick, how are you feeling about AI? Did we, let me ask you, and I want an honest answer. We didn't make you feel any better, did we? We didn't. But we're going to keep trying. And by the way, we're listening to what you're to say and your concerns because we have to, you know. Many eyes on one subject is very important. Remember the West World War II vets too. Absolutely. Thank you for that, lady historian. We want to honor the World War II vets. I'm sorry, I guess I'm reflecting my age. How did I forget World War II vets, World War One vets, right? Help keep our freedom, of course. Now, I hope I fixed that. Welcome aboard, El Señor. Let's see, Egberto, we have time for three shorts today. Yes, we do. In fact, Michael, by you giving me three shorts, you are helping the program out because you don't just want my monotony. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. I will play your shorts. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. How you doing, Paul? Likewise, we got Joanne, our beautiful Joanne from Los Angeles, California. And she's with Nicholas from Venice. Hi, Nicholas from Venice. Eric from King King is in the house, as well as Lee Grant from Montgomery County. How have you been, Lee? You have been kind of quiet in the chat, haven't you? But you know what? I know you still love us because you're always here, but please keep on coming. Anyway, let's go ahead and I tell you what, I'm going to start with the shorts from our brother Michael Rudnin. Let me get it all queued up here and set up correctly so that I don't screw up too badly. All right, let's go ahead and do that, Michael. I'm going to fix you up right this minute. Let's go ahead and get that down
Follow
now.
Deborah Messing's Instagram feed.
Oof.
That is a woof. That's she's. I think she posted. Someone said she posted 90 times in 24 hours.
Dude, I heard it was 150. I heard it was 150.
At one point, she was just sharing Donald Trump tweets.
And
this
I'm
is
like,
Deborah Messing, who was part of hashtag Resistance Liberal. But when it comes to this, Mamdani, Israel, whatever you want to call it, their brains break.
it's really, we're in such an addictive, it's such an addictive tool, and the algorithm of Instagram has been so turned up to make us so addicted to burn parts of our brain as effectively and economically as possible so that they can take those parts of our brain, really. So to see that algorithm work on Deborah Messing of Will and Grace in real time, like no way.
Radicalized in real time.
And not knowing, I mean, she must not have known that she was posting that much, reposting that much, or that she was being seen.
Yes.
To lose to lose the consciousness of actually being witnessed, that is very frightening.
Someone must have intervened, because I believe she did start deleting stuff.
Oof, that's even more chilling, honestly. Then the sudden awareness, that chills me.
What's weird about her is, and I don't think I've ever revealed this, but she and I used to DM many years ago, I think in the first Trump term.
Okay.
And she was very supportive. That sounded bad. I mean, in like talking about politics.
Yeah, okay, cover that.
She used to could say.
Sorry, I make everything fucking sexual. I apologize.
But she used to send, we used to talk about politics. Like, she was one of the, many celebrities follow me. Here's a flex. Many celebrities follow me on social media and share stuff that I say.
To be honest, it's no longer a flex because celebrity has lost its currency.
That's true. In fact, you and I met on Instagram DMs.
That's right.
If we're going to go down that road. But anyways, back to Deborah Messing. She was vaguely normal. Clearly, you've seen people being red-pilled in front of our eyes. Like, they're being radicalized in real time, as you say, by the algorithm, by the shift in politics, by things like the encampments and protests against Israel. Obviously, October the 7th for a lot of Jewish people was very traumatizing, including public figures. And a lot of them just went off the deep end. Imagine getting to a point where you are resharing Donald Trump's posts about Zoran Mamdani uncritically.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good one, Michael. Let's see what's your second one about. We're going to go to Michael's second video.
SNAP benefits got cut. People can't afford fucking food in America right now. What makes you believe they can afford a $70 hoodie?
They're not out of touch. Retailers know exactly what they are doing. I also work in retail management. Big corporations are still tracking your credit card spend data, where your mouse is moving on your computer, what you're hovering over. They haven't given up on market research. They're still paying for the macroeconomic forecast. They are very informed on what the economy looks like and how broke we are. They also know about our boycott. We already see early Black Friday FOMO, and buy now, pay later is everywhere. Surveillance pricing, shrinkflation gift sets, tone management ads like the Sephora commercial, price match illusion, members only pricing, cart timers like this is in 5 people's carts and there's only 2 left. The Mariah Carey Sephora commercial seems out of touch, but it was actually a very strategic marketing move. While a lot of us are participating in a holiday boycott, a lot of people aren't feeling the pinch quite enough yet, and they don't want to. They want to continue to celebrate the holidays with overconsumption. And for them, the Sephora commercial did a lot to ease their guilt, them feel less guilty about compromising solidarity with workers, make them feel like it's okay just for this one time of year to put everything aside and just have some holiday magic in the form of buying. Even included undertones of, oh no, Christmas might be canceled. Attacks on Christmas have been a very effective propaganda tool. Retailers are not lost. They're not out of touch. They're tracking us in real time. And thanks to their surveillance tracking, they know your name, your age, your phone number, your address, your zip code, your saved payment, your birthday, your gender, your clothing sizes, your household composition, your coupon redemption history, wish list, your save for later item, know your average order value, your last transaction date. They know your payment timing, your gift card usage, your credit score, what apps you have on your phone, social media activity, hashtags, likes, comments, how many points you have in your loyalty members account, if you're in a loyalty members account, your debit card pings, your license plate number. Thanks to third-party enrichment from data brokers, they know what your mortgage is, your income, property size, household vehicle count, everything from your energy use to your charitable donations. They know exactly how broke we are, and they know how bad we want to boycott them. They know what type of device you're using, what model, what operating system, your favorite browser type, your average battery level. They know what makes you pause, what makes you click, and what makes you scroll. They know your time zone. They know your weather. Happy boycott season.
It's not beneficial.
Well, let me break here before I go to his third video and talk a little bit about that because I program, and that is so true that with our systems today, it is geared, we can collect any piece of data, keystrokes. We can even assume where your eyes is because if we're following where the stroke is, the arrow is on the screen, we know that you're likely going there. We know what is under that. If you see an ad, an AdSense ad come up, etc., all of that is known. But you know what I want to know, and I maybe I should query all of you. I am immune to ads because I just, go across them. I get ads, or rather, I click on ads from people I know and I want to click on. In other words, my junk mail is huge, etc. But I get something from, let's say, some sort of a technical store. I'll always open it. Are they using market research as well? Yes, but that is something that I intentionally want. I wonder what it would take for us to shop intentionally. I was over at our Panamanian picnic over the weekend, and this guy bought a nice generator. It's quiet. I don't know if you remember the Undat generators used to be the quietest generators. You pull and the string, and it's an electrical generator run by gasoline, but it's quiet. And this guy had one that he didn't pay a lot of money for, and it was quiet too. But it kept on going off because it just didn't have the power to handle the cotton candy machine, the sausage machine, the two burners for the syrup and stuff they were making, and also the popcorn machine. So I went through and I started adding up wattage to show, whoops, you can only use about 34 or 35% of these things at the same time. And because I look at the wattage of the generator, and then I said to myself, when they advertise these generators on TikTok, they don't do anything to give you the impression that make sure you figure out what the load factors are so you know this generator would actually work. When I went through the load stuff and then spoke to the guy about it, because he's not, I don't think he was a very technical guy. He You could see a disappointment in his face for the purchase, right? And what she's talking about here in that video, and I don't know of you, I scroll a lot on TikTok and Instagram, and my God, you can buy Temu stuff and all. I mean, they just pop up everywhere, and a lot of them are very appealing. In fact, so appealing that I bought one for $7. I was intentionally looking for a fix for my car who got a dent, and I saw this $7 suction cup, and I purchased it, looked at it, and said to myself, yes, I bought this intentionally, but this product is intentionally bad. Hmm. We got to be more careful with all these things. Okay, hello, LBW, La Profesora is in the house. How you doing, LBW? Great to see you here. Kat is in the house. Lynette is in the house. Ken Mason, thank you for being here. Automatically delete your Amazon email notices unread. Hit them where it hurts in the precious pocketbook. Christmas can go back to its original meaning, which will do everyone's heart and soul a lot of good. I so wish, we did a thing with our family, our, like sisters and cousins and so forth, that we weren't going to do the gift exchange. But I still send my mother a gift. I don't know. There's just something about Christmas that I got to send her a gift. But we did this stuff about not doing the exchanges, and, it's working out pretty well. Jerry Mitchell, thank you for being here. Jane V from North Carolina. Lynette, oh, I called you out already. Anyway, let's continue. Before I go on to my brother's third video, want to say hi to to where is it? Who is? I saw somebody I wanted to salute. Bruce Pollard said hello to all. Thank you. By the way, breaking news from UK. Our closest ally since World War One just cut off all intelligence sharing with the U.S. about Caribbean drug trafficking boats, calling the strikes illegal. If Britain doesn't trust us anymore, Donald Trump has torched 100-year friendship while sucking it up. Cruel dictators who also disappear votes without asking questions. Shame. Shame on the president. All right, let's go to Michael's last video if I can find it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. All right, Michael, here you go. Let's back that up. Let me first get it onto the screen and we'll back it up. And then we're going to talk government shutdown.
I just saw an article that said that there are a number of police officers resigning because of the new mayor-elect, Zoran Mamdani. And to that I say, good fucking riddance! You're willing to sacrifice your salary, your pension, your livelihood over politics? So fucking be it. Please get off the city payroll. Please save the city some money. Please make space for a new wave of police officers who will come in who will not abuse women, abuse their power in the community, and just break the law because they think they can get away with it. I also feel like a lot of them are resigning because they know they're about to get fired and investigated. Because one of the things that Zoran said is that he's keeping the current commissioner because ever since she's come in, she's been on the asses. And he's going to give her the green light to be on the asses even more so. And so what I really truly hope, is that the crimes that they committed, that they're resigning in advance for, that they can still be prosecuted for them after the fact. They should have just stayed the course, got their little administrative leave, because you know that lasts for years while they're under investigation, etc., etc., etc. But no, they want to put it on politics. And hey, if it is about politics, you're dumb as hell, and I'm actually glad that you're not in the police force anymore. Either way, toot fucking Lou.
Well, we should know that a large percentage of the police, and I'm selling this from a person who has quite a few family members that are part of the police here in the United States in different states. A lot of these guys have major problems: PTSD problems, racial problems, patriarchy problems. And the one thing one of my cousins told me is, because he knows what I do, and he said, when I retire, I'll have some stories for you. Um, you know, it was like, well, come on, hermano. Um, and he pretty much insinuated that, because I always say that the policemen that see things happen and don't do anything about it are just as guilty as those that are perpetrating the crime. And he looked right back at me and said, our lives would be on the line. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. Just like Donald Trump acts like a mafia boss, the police union, some of them, that's exactly who they are. And when they mark you, you are marked. Anyway, let's see what else we've got in the house. Welcome aboard, para ver. Michael says bad cops resigning, defund the police is working as intended. Investigate and fire dirty cops or let them resign in advance and then hire social workers to cover the jobs they couldn't do, like mental health, calls, etc. Only worry, the dirty cops will join ICE and become even worse than they were. And what I tell you about the dirty cops and ICE is we must mark them. We must do everything legally to find out who they are and make sure from employment, from reputable moral people, they're blacklisted until they find some way to atone for their evil ways. I'm sorry. That is what we should do. Um anyway, I think I've come to the conclusion that I think it's good that we stop the government shutdown. And I know it's not very popular with a lot of progressives, but I want you to hear me out. And I did a piece this morning. Actually, I did it like 1:30 this morning. I played it on KPFT, but a lot of people weren't there. So I hope you'll take a look at this. And then I'd like to hear your commentary. In fact, I'd like to hear some calls in on what you think about what I'm saying here. Even as Chuck Schumer voted against opening the government again, we all know what occurred behind the scene. There was the senators that are supporting the reopening the government they are not open for, or they're not up for reelection. And of course, as well, their economies would really be devastated by this thing going on much longer. And the truth is, that's an issue. You don't have to agree that it's not mutually exclusive to want Chuck Schumer ousted and at the same time support what many believe is a con to reopen the government. Being a progressive doesn't mean that we cannot change our mind. Being a progressive doesn't mean that we cannot seek the best of the worst or better options. Being a progressive means whatever we do, what we want is to ensure the progress of the people we work for. We want to ensure that people's lives get better. There are times when one can sacrifice and compromise, but there are also times that we have to be aware that of who is actually doing the sacrifices. When there are progressives pushing hard, progressives that are comfortable, progressives that are financially well off and are not in the belly of the beast, to sacrifice for an outcome on the backs of others who themselves are asking that at this point they are unable to sacrifice. I think we've got to be very cognizant that a sort of obstinance by some of us in the progressive wing can actually be detrimental to the cause at large. And it can ultimately affect our own numbers in a large scale. I've been fighting for a long time. Do we end the shutdown or not? How do we end the shutdown? Was the shutdown worth it? I'll answer those questions after this, but I can tell you, after listening to the debate today, well, it wasn't a debate. 1 hour of Rachel Maddow, 1 hour of Lawrence O'Donnell. I think I've now made up my mind that, and again, like I said, progressives ought to be able to change their minds in order to make things better for most, while fighting for those who may not have been brought forward. I want you to listen to this from Lawrence O'Donnell, then we'll take it on the other side.
Well, in his first term, Donald Trump created the longest government shutdown in history. And now in his second term, Donald Trump has set the record again for the new longest government shutdown in history. The end of the government shutdown was forged when 5 Senate Democrats, and only 5, changed their position in a compromise that forced every Senate Republican to change their positions, while it also forced Donald Trump to change his position. And it has forced every Republican member of the House of Representatives to now change their positions. So this is 5 Democrats who changed their position, and 53 Republican senators, 217 Republican House members, and 1 Republican president, a total of 271 Republicans who changed their positions and are now supporting a version of a budget bill that they said they would never support. And 5 Democrats who changed their position to vote for that same bill, which was proposed by those 5 Democrats. So who caved here? What does caved mean? But this being Washington, the 5 changed votes on the Democratic side versus the 271 Republicans changing their position is being generally reported as the Democrats, meaning all of them, the Democrats abandoning their position. The Democrats caving, the Democrats losing the shutdown. Now, if we want to use the word cave in place of the word compromise, 271 Republicans, including Donald Trump, caved to just 5 Democrats. And what did those Democrats achieve? Well, those 5 Democrats forced Republicans, including Donald Trump, to agree to, first of all, they forced Donald Trump, who's been trying to stop funding supplemental nutrition assistance, to increase funding for food stamps. Increase it. That is not nothing. The 5 Democrats who changed their position managed to not just guarantee supplemental nutrition assistance funding for almost a year, but they actually got it increased. And no Republican wanted to do that. Donald Trump didn't want to do that. No Republicans wanted that. So they caved, if that's the word we're going to use, on that. The Republicans did. And all the Republicans are caving to that demand by those 5 Democrats for their votes. That's one of the things the 5 Democrats got for their votes. The 5 Democrats also obtained a guarantee to rehire every federal worker Donald Trump has fired during the government shutdown, every one of them. 4,000 people will get their jobs back, and they will get back pay because of this compromise that 5 Senate Democrats forced on 271 Republicans, including Donald Trump. The compromise also forces Donald Trump to deliver back pay to all federal workers, every one of them, affected by the Trump shutdown, something Donald Trump was trying to avoid. Donald Trump was trying to become the first president in history to deny back pay to every government worker affected by the shutdown. And those 5 Democratic senators got that back pay guaranteed. That is not nothing. They got something. They didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get everything. They didn't get the big thing. They got something. It should not be surprising that one of the 5 senators in this compromise is Tim Kaine of Virginia, where he represents one of the states with the most federal government workers per capita working in and around Washington, D.C. It should also not be surprising that both of the Democratic senators from Nevada joined the compromise that will avoid the airport nightmares that were looming in America for Thanksgiving and Christmas if the shutdown continues. Las Vegas, Nevada is completely dependent on reliable air traffic into Las Vegas to feed the local economy, the biggest economy in Nevada. Las Vegas has other problems now with Canadians boycotting tourism in America, but the airport nightmare was something that Nevada's Democratic senators decided after 40 days they simply could not abide. For people in government who care about how the government works and how the country runs, which does not include Donald Trump, people who care about that, including our air traffic control system, for them, government shutdowns are actually painful every day. They're not a stunt. They're not a tactic. They're not a strategic tactic. They are painful. Government shutdowns are full of pressure every day for people who care about this government actually running and running well.
Now, one of the questions that I pose is how do you end the shutdown? And was it worth it? And I tell you what, after watching Lawrence O'Donnell and thinking about it, I think Lawrence O'Donnell, in as much as he, I think, tipped me to the side of, yes, let's end the shutdown now, I think he missed an important point. He said he gave a list of things that came out of the shutdown. The back pay will be given to the workers. Well, if there was no shutdown in the first place, there would be no back pay that would be needed. So I don't count that one. That the only thing that I can say came out from a physical change in the Republican Party is exactly what he said. SNAP benefits increased. That is what you got from having a shutdown versus not having one. I can't see any of the other things being added to the ledger because, again, absent the shutdown, those workers wouldn't have been laid off. Absent the shutdown, all those issues. But where I think where Lawrence O'Donnell didn't put enough meat on the bones, if you will, for me, but that in reaching this point, that I came to this conclusion is what it has done, the shutdown, to let people, with the amount of things that Donald Trump and the Republicans did to show that they cared nothing about their own people, given that it's their people who are going to suffer more from the subsidies for the Obamacare. Their people will suffer more. It is their people who suffer the most from food stamps. When they went ahead and forced many states to say, simply do not give these people help while the government is shut down, they showed specifically their disdain for the poor and that they care nothing about those who need these services more, who in fact are a large percentage of the Republican base. So now they have given progressives, Democrats, and everybody the necessary outtakes that going forward, their own words coming out of their own mouths, their own words coming out of various emails and letters. The data is now there to present to MAGA, to present to those who support this fraudulent, evil government. The data is there to show, hey guys, we care about when you go to the grocery stores, telling it in story form. We care about you at the grocery store because we care about your employment because, and they don't. And you know why they don't? Because they are not for you. The ads are there to be written, and the shutdown, stopping the shutdown, letting folks know that maybe in as much as you didn't get the subsidies, the pain will be short-lived for 1 year. Some of you won't make it through that year, but remember whose fault is that? And we are going to now work, if elected, to ensure, to correct the evil done on you by the previous regime. So the two purposes of the shutdown: one, yes, there was more money given for SNAP. And two, we don't have to ask anymore whether Republicans support the poor and the middle class. MAGA and Republicans, they have told us in no uncertain terms that they care nothing about any of you who are poor, who are having a hard time. And if you decide to continue to support those who harm your children, those who harm your relatives, then it's on you. And yes, Bruce, actually, Trump supporters are much more likely to be on government assistance than the supporters that are not Trump. Likewise, most red states are bigger states. In fact, we are supplying, the blue states are funding all those low taxes red states like to talk about. They can have that because we fund their welfare. We fund their education. We fund all these things in red states. Why? Because again, they are lousy. Their policies just don't work. And what you have to do anytime you have somebody from a red state tell you anything, you go ahead and let them have it. You guys are bigger states, and we are supporting you. Uh, California is supporting you. New York is supporting you. Connecticut is supporting you. Don't hang it around their necks because their policies don't work. That's why when they are in power, their GDP is lower, their everything goes lower, and they normally leave the next administration a mess. Donald Trump left Biden a mess because he did not handle COVID appropriately. George Bush number two left Obama a mess, and Reagan Bush one left Clinton a mess. I mean, they always do that. They are lousy politicians, but you know what they're good at? Marketing. Marketing. So let's go ahead and play this. Now I want to tell you why I think the shutdown was necessary, and why not only the shutdown was necessary, but stopping the shutdown after it was clear, that how evil the Republican Party leadership was when they were willing to starve people and force other states who wanted to help to starve people. Let me remind you of a story. The story of the king threatening to split a baby in half. Two women came before King Solomon, both claiming to be the mother of the same infant. They lived together and each had recently given birth. One night, one of the women accidentally smothered her own baby in her sleep. She then secretly exchanged the dead child for the living one belonging to the other woman. When the real mother awoke and found the dead child beside her, she knew immediately that it wasn't hers. The two women argued bitterly, each insisting the living child belonged to her. With no witnesses or evidence, the case seemed impossible to solve. Solomon, seeking to reveal the truth, called for a sword. He ordered that the living baby be cut in two, with each woman receiving a half. Upon hearing the decree, one woman cried out in anguish, pleading with Solomon to spare the baby's life and give him to the other woman. The other woman coldly agreed to the division, saying, neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Solomon then declared that the first woman who showed mercy and love was the true mother. He ordered that child given to her unharmed. Well, the Democratic Party was that woman who decided when Solomon was going to cut that child in half, when it was reaching the boiling point, when the boiling point was about to hit the SNAP recipients, the government workers that are unpaid, that Trump was threatening, the air traffic controllers, all these people. Solomon was the Democrats, or I shouldn't say Solomon was the Democrats. That other woman who went ahead and said, "Okay, I give, I give, I give," in order to save, that baby, in order to save that baby, I won't let the king split it. In order to save our fellow human beings, we will take the closure without getting the subsidies. But you know what? It gives us not having the subsidies that a large percentage goes to, if not the majority, goes to red states and Donald Trump supporters. They will see the loss that they get in healthcare. They will see the loss in healthcare that they get, and you know what? It will bring us to my last subject of the day, and that is the following. Let me put it up on the screen. Democrats can win back Trump voters if they don't blow it. The message from 2025 election is clear. Some Trump voters will back Democrats if the candidates reach them where they are and talk to them about the issues that they care about. How many times have we discussed that again? How many times have we discussed that? Welcome aboard, Don Shea. Welcome aboard, Don. Welcome aboard, Pachanga. Hey, Pachanga, I'm not sure others do the same. At least mothers do. I mean, look, mothers and teachers. Let me tell you something, Pachanga. Are you Panamanian? That is a very Panamanian word. We have a phrase that we'll say, esta noche voy a pachanguear, which means tonight I'm going out to have some fun. You know, many times I've heard you say that, Egberto. Absolutely, my sister Lynette. But yeah, Miss Pachanga, and I'm assuming you're a woman. I made an assumption, but anyway, may be wrong. But we would go say, "Vamos a pachanguear, tú vamos." You know, it was funny because I spent all this weekend with Panamanians speaking Spanish, and came home. And you know, when you're thinking to yourself and you're doing stuff, I reverted to, I was actually thinking in Spanish. And then the bad thing about thinking in Spanish is that your vocabulary has declined over the decades that you haven't been speaking much, right? And so I'm doing stuff and I'm thinking in Spanish, and it's just automatic because that's all I did this weekend. And I'm like, I'm missing a word here. I want to say something, but I don't know what the hell I'm trying to tell myself to do because I can't remember the word in Spanish. And then I looked at all of this is happening in my head. Then in my head, I say, stupid, think in English. It's that simple. Think in English. It was a funny thing that happened to me today. Anyhow, continuing. While the media has covered extensively Democratic successes in the 2025 off-year elections, there is one story that has been dramatically undercovered. This is the fact that the 2025 Virginia and New Jersey gubernatorial races show that Democrats can win over Trump voters. Granted, these are not dramatic slices of Trump's coalition, but they are enough in these hyperpolarized times to win elections. According to CNN polling in New Jersey, Representative Mickey Sherrill, in her race for governor, was able to win 7% of those who had voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Interestingly, the Virginia exit polling data shows that Representative Abigail Spanberger won identical 7% of Trump voters. So it seems like 7% of Trump voters are up for grabs without even doing any work. The New York Times, Nate Cohn, is one of the few journalists who has pointed to the New Jersey and Virginia Democrats' ability to win over Trump voters. He concludes that instead, the two Democrats won so decisively because they also flipped a crucial sliver of voters who said they supported Mr. Trump in 2024. Ms. Sherrill and Ms. Fanberger both won 7% of Mr. Trump's supporters. According to the exit polls, it may not seem like much to flip 7% of Mr. Trump's backers. Actually, that's a lot. But consider when a voter flips, it adds one voter to one party and also deducts one from the other, making it twice as significant as turning out a new voter. Exactly. Looking at the exit polling data, makes it clear that while the Democrats' margin in New Jersey and Virginia were helped by increased Democratic turnout, winning over 2024 Trump voters was critically important. One of the key parts of the Trump coalition has always been strong and even almost overwhelmingly support from rural voters. An analysis by Politico of the Virginia gubernatorial race shows that Spanberger's victory was largely driven by massive turnout in northern and eastern Virginia urban areas, but she picked up support across the state, deep red central and western counties where Trump tariffs have hit the manufacturing and agricultural industries especially hard. Even as her GOP opponent won most of these places, Spanberger posed the best performance by a statewide Democrats candidate in several cycles, according to a political analysis of voting data in the localities classified as rural by the government. And isn't that what we speak about? When the hospital and rural places close, be there. Let them know who caused it, why it's happening, and what you're going to do to solve it. And then guess what? It's even better, right? Because these Trump voters that turned on their own, they didn't need a lot of coaxing. But think about if you just invest a bit into hiring a few ex-MAGAs to communicate with these guys. Think about how effective you could be. Continuing, to her great credit, Spanberger targeted rural voters and consistently hammered away on how the Trump administration tariff police were hurting them. In comparison with former Vice President Kamala Harris' performance in 2024, Spanberger outperformed Harris's margin in 48 of Virginia's 52 rural localities. The exit polling shows that Spanberger won 46% of rural voters, an 8-point deficit to Republican candidate, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Searles, and a 19-point swing from 2021 gubernatorial Democratic nominee Terry McAuliffe, 27-point disadvantage. There is also data in the exit poll that indicate that Democrats won in 2025 Hispanic voters who backed Trump in 2024. The Washington Post said the following: this year, most Democratic statewide candidates won Latino voters by at least 30 points in exit polls, recreating the margins their party held before 2024. In New Jersey, 18% of Latino voters who backed Trump last year cast their ballot for the Democratic gubernatorial candidate, exit polls data showed. The fact that Democrats won over Trump voters in 2025 has profound implications for Democrats in both the 2026 midterms and 2028. The message is clear. Some Trump voters will back Democrats if the candidates reach them where they are and talk to them about the issues that they care about. To assume that all Trump voters are absolutely committed to Trump no matter what the circumstances is a mistaken assumption that only hurts Democrats. I'll say it and sing it from the top of the mountain. Successful politics is always about addition. Talk to people, hug people, relate to people. Hopefully, Democrats learn from their success in 2025 and realize that they can make some Trump voters part of their winning coalition. I say send Mandami to Mississippi. I say send Mandami to Louisiana. I say send Mandami to Texas, Kansas. He will do great. And you know what? He will win over voters. Pachanga is from Arizona. Pachanga, having fun. All right, what else have we got here? Michael says, Egberto, please read out in full. Modern justice would run a DNA test. Imagine that modernity would do better wisdom than Solomon. Admission. Effing hate that biblical story as it is supposed to be a positive moral tale rather than one of Bronze Age horror. Hey, you're right, but it was a story that I think was apropos. The Democrats, as the moral party, could not stand for their pew, and not only their own, but for MAGA and everybody else getting hurt. They just couldn't stand for that. Anyway, guys, I'm at 51, and I covered the two major subjects I wanted to cover today. Love to hear from you. 281, let's go ahead and put that out there. Call me now at 281 823 7747. 281-823-7747. Let's get you guys calling in. All right, I have it in chat number 1 and I have it in chat number 2. Give me a call. 281-823-7747. I would love to hear your story. You know, otherwise I can go tell you about the fun that I had. I'm tired as hell. We marched in downtown Houston with the Panamanian band, and they sounded good. I put some of it on Substack, but the sound was terrible. I have some hard copies, not hard copies, but I did it. My brother from another mother, Patrick Magner. Talk to me.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You're soliciting feedback on the shutdown. Before the shutdown happened, I told you that I was concerned that the federal workers had gone through enough already.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that was happening at the same time was a lot of the federal workers were silently getting rehired because they were figuring out that they couldn't deal without them, and that put a pause on that. Another thing too is that I don't feel like we should volunteer other people to go through difficulties on our behalf. That should be something that we volunteer for. That was one of the big changes that I made about pacifism, is that I shouldn't generally prescribe it. It should be something that you decide for yourself.
Right.
But there's something else about the shutdown.
Wait, before you continue,
sure
Patrick, before you continue. So then am I to agree that you pretty much maybe then agree with my change in position in saying I think I can go wholeheartedly and say I think the shutdown needed to end then?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think prolonging it would help. It would bring further suffering. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people understand that the lines for food banks now are exploding. I mean, they're giant, and when people can't pay for their meals, that makes me uncomfortable. And another thing I'm noticing about that too is you're an activist and I'm an activist. At least I'd like to think that I'm an activist on some
You're a
level.
very strong
And
activist,
when
son.
I talk to people about my activism, oftentimes I tell them what I'm sacrificing. That's part of what I'm doing. And what I'm finding interesting is an absence of MAGA hats and MAGA shirts in these food bank lines, because we all agree that they're the ones getting hit the most. And I think that if they agreed with what was going on, or if they really had a long-term vision, they would still be proud and they'd still be wearing those hats and shirts saying, I'm willing to go through this, and I'm proud to go through this. But I'm not seeing that.
Right, right. And look, I tell you, Patrick, I think the election this year, last week, was more devastating to Republicans than they are admitting, and that Democrats want to acknowledge, because that was a wipeout of there is always the core that's left. The core that's left, and the people that are going to go vote because, well, the machine tells them to vote. But when you look at the exit polls and you look at where people are, you look at the president's rating. And by the way, I can't even believe the president rating, because if they got their weighting wrong for a spam burger, if they got their rating rate, and when I say weight, not rating, weighting, the way you do polls is you get as many people as you can, and then you weight them based on what you think their likelihood of voting is and who they are. And after you put a weight on that, that's how you come out with a particular poll number. And I think the polls were so off with in not only Mandami won with over 51% of the votes. Think about that. In a race, he won with over 51% of the
Yeah.
votes. I mean, unheard of, with billions of dollars spent on negative ads, negative performance, people going out there throwing people out and saying, please go ahead, vote against Mandami Gears, and he still pulled out 51%. Something is happening.
And a higher turnout. High
Exactly.
total turnout, I think, too.
Yes.
I think we're learning a lot as a country.
Yes. I think, and people tell me I'm idealistic, or I don't realize how bad people really are. And I think I see the opposite. I mean, even those MAGA folks that I would sit down and have our conversations in, I don't see them as bad. I see them as vulnerable, as scared, as, I mean, it is always they think the boogeyman is out there for them. You look at some of the MAGA in our chat right now. All I see is scare. All I see is people who, in order to prop themselves up, have to fight. Look, Patrick, let me ask you this: how can you be a moral person and knowing truthfully the things that Donald Trump has done, and somehow make him your God? What does that tell you?
Yeah.
What?
One of my favorite questions to ask Trump supporters are, outside of abortion, please tell me what Christian values you see in this person. And they him and haw, and then they just get upset and don't answer.
And the other thing that they do is they said they'll name a flawed king that God supported. It's funny how they might that. In fact, I have a relative that did that. They called out the name of a king that was apparently a mujeriego, a woman's man, or some woman's womanizer or something, to try to justify. But again, how do you justify somebody that a judge said has raped somebody? How do you justify your support for them? But more importantly, how do you look in your daughter's eyes, whether you're a mother or a father, and say you voted for a guy that has done these things to women, that you voted for a guy that has stolen? I think you lose all credibility with your kids. I don't see how you don't.
I can agree.
But anyway,
I can agree.
my daughter is straight up. If I support somebody, she goes crazy. Let's get this call in and keep you on. Come on in, LaFranco.
Voted for a guy that has stolen. I think you lose all credibility with. Hello?
LaFranco, turn the radio down, my brother. Yes, but turn your radio down. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's turned down. So I'm on with you because sometimes when I'm watching, I guess you're not live.
No, I'm live every day at 3 Central. I play replays throughout the night, etc. But you can always reach me live between 3 and 4 Central or between 6 and 7 Central in the mornings. Always.
Right. I was just listening and watching, but that wasn't live?
Yeah, you were just watching me live.
You are on right
anyway,
now.
I'm calling in to put my 2 cents in if you're ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, so earlier, I don't know if you've seen my notes, but I was just saying the shutdown may have, opening the government back up may have been valuable, but it was still a miss as far as communicating how the policies are so horrible from MAGA. And I think that's where it becomes almost like a rope or dope that doesn't work if they're willing to be a part of a shutdown, but then not take advantage of it to the best way possible to communicate the lack of the other side.
Okay, I hope you listen to my Solomon parable that Michael Rudnan hates. Did you get the thing behind that?
I did. I responded. Yeah, I responded to that.
I'm sorry, I can't see all of the things.
Yeah, that's okay. No, actually, I don't think that it's a Solomon situation. I appreciate the story, but I don't. If let's say it is a Solomon story, then they didn't take advantage of.
Hold 1 second, LaFranco. I want to tell folks I'm going to go over 5 minutes because I like to hear a Folsom thought, and Brother LaFranco has one. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. You had referenced the Solomon story in the Bible before, which is a wonderful story. And really, it comes down to that last scripture where basically he lays down, this is what it's really about, right? So I look at that as that potentially is the media, and PR is the wrong word, but media exposure that the Democrats miss by being a part of a shutdown, but then opening up and not taking advantage of the media opportunity to communicate the tactics of this MAGA government and how they hurt everyone.
Okay, let me see if I can agree.
Yes.
I want to query you a bit. I think they stop. I think during the entire thing, they made everybody aware that the subsidies were gone, that the rates were going up. I think that's the only reason we spend so much time on something as mundane as subsidies. In my opinion, I mean, I had never seen subsidies covered as the media covered subsidies as the cause of the shutdown.
Okay, so you're saying that's more technical than the average person would understand, I think. But
I agree.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just say this though. I think though that, and my thing is, I think they have felt the hurt. They felt the hurt in Snap. They saw the fear of not having that money go to their card. They have heard the reports of Donald Trump even telling grocery stores and their states that they can't cut rates or do things to help them out. All of that, and that's why I put in the article that I wrote last night. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You can go.
No, I'm with you on that. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think they shouted it from the highest mountaintop as I think they could have.
LaFranco.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's our job, and that's not only our job; it's their job as well. Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's their job as well, but it's also our job. And I mean, sometimes. Go ahead.
You got time for another part of your conversation I can react to?
I think Patrick wanted to say something.
Can I comment real fast too?
Yes.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with LaFranco that more could have come out of this, but I think we'd always say that. And I think that his discourse about what else could have come out of it is important. But another side of this shutdown is I don't think that we were hurting Republicans. Republicans want a non-functioning government, and that's exactly what we're giving them. They don't want a government working, and shutting the government down is giving them what they want.
Right. So that's a different topic, right? Right. That impacts this bigger picture. Okay.
No, actually, I think it's the same topic.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and bring your other one of LaFranco.
Yeah.
I got to go, but I want to give you
on the same. Yeah. No, you were mentioning earlier the different presidents that had to come in and fix the Republican mess, and I know that there's a whole generation that has continually been impacted by the topsy-turvy world of what the Republicans have done to our economy each time they've come in. And so by now, and I read this on, somebody put it on there saying, Democrats will win when they give up woke. Well, no, woke is one, they're creating a derogatory out of, good values. But I think Dems win when they stop fighting as though they're woke. And so how you do that, maybe you don't want people to not eat, but then you better be in the street making sure people understand what you're about and what you're there to provide. Trump walked down the elevator or came down the elevator in 2016, and he is yet to do anything for the rank and file people that he told them he was going to do.
I agree with you, LaFranco, but I want to add something to that, right? Remember, establishment, and I don't want to upset our strong establishment Democrats that are in our house here, but establishment Democrats don't ever want, remember, they have a certain limit that they believe in. I realized that being a member of Daily Kos and the management, the authorship there for a while, etc. And I realized that because somebody is a Democrat does not mean they believe in the social aspects of what a traditional progressive Democrat believe in and what used to be the working class type Democrat believe in. We have a strong corporatist Democratic Party who wants to ensure that they don't go too far because they fear that going to the reason Mandami is so dangerous to them is he put it all together into something that MAGA likes, rank and file Democrats like, and progressive Democrats like. And that's a dangerous person because he was able to do it. But I got to close the show down, my brothers. And I really appreciate this discussion. In fact, let me say something to the entire listenership. And this I do this at KPFT all of the times. I always prefer having the dialogue than in something I prepared because everything that I prepare eventually is going to appear on my newsletter, etc. So if you and in fact, many times you call in and we have such a great discussion, I even cut some of that up and put it in a newsletter. Ask Patrick about that. So I always prefer having the conversation because it's a lot better than just one person always coming up with what has to be done. Thank you guys for a very elusive, a very informative conversation.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. I am very, very late. So thank you so kindly for being here. You guys know how to become paid subscribers, so I'm not going to do it again right now. I'm going to just say I love you all. Thank you so kindly. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.